Welcome, marvelous makers,
and art appreciators,
to the ArtSpace podcast,
brought to you by Lemon Street Gallery and ArtSpace.
located at
Oh, that's like the first time we've ever messed up.
Whoa!
Wow.
Located at 4601 Sheridan Road.
Stop on by. Are we leaving this in?
I guess.
Oh, stop
Continue.
on by your favorite citrus-themed art
I
gallery
trip over the address.
and tell Shelby how to properly say.
Don't you dare.
No. Just keep your little mouth shut and
Yes.
look at our wonderful art that we have here on
Yes,
display, and maybe make a
please.
purchase to support
Please.
your local art community.
And I am your host, Shelby Nesmith.
And I'm Jake Hoy.
And today we are here with Cam Beltran.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
Good. How are y'all doing?
We're good. We're saying words correctly.
I was so honed in on saying the name right. I said the address wrong.
You got the name right.
Yes, that's the important
Wait, do you
thing.
mean the name of the gallery or the name of our guest?
The name of our guest?
The name of our guest. The thing that changes every week.
Yes.
Listen.
So,
kudos.
Oh, well, thank
One
you.
out of two, we'll take it.
We'll
Yes.
take it.
I'm
We're
a
batting
win-
500.
Lordy.
I'm getting a lot of eye rolls tonight, guys. Not unusual, not unheard of, but it
Oh,
happens.
gosh. I've got poo brain today is kind of
Yes.
what I call it. It's just, I've got this dumb brain fog. So, but
And
we're going to keep going.
Shelby
So,
has diagnosed it as poo brain.
poo brain, I call it.
I asked her if that means she really, really craves honey and wants to hang out with Piglet and Eeyore.
I mean, I'd chill with them.
Winnie the Pooh
Anxiety
for
and
people that don't
depression.
know.
Yeah, there
Hand
you
in
go.
So, but no, I've got little brain fog, so I'm gonna over caffeinate myself and get through this. So
Yes, that coffee.
provide you with the
Should help.
content.
But
So
anyways,
yes,
enough about us.
yes, enough about us. It's about you, Cam. About you. So how are you doing today?
Yeah, well, funny that, you have poo brain because I have like crap body.
Oh,
Yeah, I actually, my body is always a roller coaster, always has been, always will be. So today I have on this beautiful brace,
I saw that.
and it's like
Not a
early-
fashion statement.
Usually it is.
Okay.
Today a little less so. Earlier I had on the fashion statement of a little air cast booty on my foot. I know, very rare, not rare at all, but
Very fun, very fabulous. I see you.
just to say that we do what we can. Here we are in this space as we are trying to push through and live life, whatever that means.
Yes.
But I'm truly honored to be here today with y'all. Like, as our listeners will soon find out, I'm not exactly from the area, so art community is really big for me. And it's like, how do you know who's in the community unless you do some digging? And just like everyone that y'all have had on the podcast has been so helpful, just learning and listening to like who else is living here, like, and it's just like, oh, because if there wasn't a pandemic, it would be different.
Yeah,
it would
yeah,
be
yeah.
like, I don't know, just like going to gallery openings or like just taking a class. And it's not like those things aren't doable now, but I just really appreciate the work and energy that y'all put into this. And then like having
you.
me here too, it just means a lot.
We love that.
Heavy blushing going on this side of the table.
Stop. No, keep going, but stop.
Keep going.
But yeah, thank you. We love hearing feedback, and that's our goal: provide a platform for people, and highlight these wonderful people in our community that we don't always see, because a lot of them like to hide, and that's okay. But we feel like they deserve to be highlighted and acknowledged. So
Just like you. And
Yeah.
that's why we're acknowledging you.
I'm blushing.
That side of the table.
And it just so happens that side of the table has a color-changing giraffe behind it. Let's acknowledge that
Yeah,
first.
you'll see that in some of our social media
Yes.
posts. Check out our Facebook and Instagram if you haven't already. But
It's incredible.
we have a new exhibit going on here in the Brick Gallery for the month of September? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because you are listening to this in September, everybody. That is a fact.
Yeah, calendar time.
It's definitely not August when we're recording this.
It's
No.
not.
Yes,
No.
it is. But yeah, so we have this awesome exhibit. Matt Bellafuel is the artist that made that giraffe that you'll see in the background. But
So- We can't ignore it.
No.
We've got to talk about the giraffe in the room.
Yes, exactly.
very
So-
good, very good.
Yes. But let's get into art. Want to talk about art? Ready?
Quack, yeah.
Black, yeah. I would say listen to the excerpts that we put on our Patreon, but I don't know if we have that set up yet. But maybe someday. No, we weren't recording for that. Were
No,
we?
we weren't.
Never mind. It was an inside joke from earlier.
And I'm a busy gal.
Yes. So, anyways, Cam.
So what got you into art?
Yes. So when I was a tadpole, meaning when I was
Wee little baby?
a little, just a little babe, when I was about like, I think maybe like 5 or 6, my family and we moved to this country from France.
Wow.
Yes, and we moved to Philly. It was all for my mom's work, and we didn't know anyone in the area. Like, all of our family was like back in France, and so one of the few things that my parents like tried to do to like be out in the community was actually go to the art museum.
Oh,
That's a good first step.
Yeah, and the Philly Art Museum at the time had a lot of community outreach. So like so inviting like families and like children. And I remember just like being a tadpole and like being in this huge art museum that is so different. It's like when you're in the like guts in the belly of the museum, it's kind of dark. It's like sort of mood lighting. It has like these walls that are sort of like in like a light brown ochre color, so it doesn't feel like a typical museum. And like these like ginormous tapestries, and I just remember like getting so excited about art
oh.
and just like the material and being like, holy quack. Like this is nuts in the best way possible. So when I was a kid, that's how I was like introduced to art. And then like being a teenager, it was sort of like a different story, of just like processing what it means to be alive, but
Yeah.
also like it's really weird when you're a teenager and you're like, holy crap, like, oh, sorry, holy quack.
Crap is allowed. That's not a swear word.
Crap, crap is very much loud.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like y'all know that like terribly confusing time where you look back and you're like, actually, that was
Yeah.
where you're like,
Really.
Yeah.
For real, though.
yeah. And then you're like, but what the fuck do about it? Because then like adults, I mean, you know, bless us being the age that we are now, but like at the time, like, you know, like who the knows like what to do. Sorry, who the quack knows
Yeah.
what
It's
to
okay.
do.
Yes. So
Yeah.
turning towards art, yes, in that time. So.
Yeah.
It can kind of be a balm in a tough situation. It's one of the many things it can do. I'm sound very serious right now.
Be serious.
A balm
Please. Yeah.
to soothe the rough wind of life.
What scent? Is it like a nice lavender balm? I
Ooh.
need an idea.
I don't really like the floral scent so much. I was gonna go pine.
Oh,
you're a
like
pine
cedar.
I'm a pine guy. Yeah. Cedar's good
Makes
too.
sense.
Yeah.
You love Christmas.
Yeah. We'll save that for the next Just Us podcast.
Sorry.
whatever we can say.
Yes.
But
I love it.
But yeah,
So you're in the art museum.
yes.
Or are we going back to that?
Teenage years. So returning to art to kind of process the big life's questions
Yes.
that usually hit when you're going through those times. So
Yeah. So anyway, it's interesting because like that first question, and with any question, my brain kind of goes like, okay, cool, we'll go this route, and then it goes like nebula time, and
Oh,
we're
okay.
like, okay, wow, you know?
That's fine.
Yes.
That's fine.
the big picture of it all. So
Yeah. But essentially, that's kind of how I got my foot in the door of art, we'll say.
okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So trying to think. Do you think that it was a pivotal point because you just moved from France and then being in Philly? Do you think that art kind of became that comfort, like immediate comfort for you? Because I can't imagine being in another country and just being, okay, plopped, you're in Philly with a very weird accents there. So
Ooh, shots fired at the Philly.
I'm going to say it.
Water?
I mean, coming from us in our Midwestern accent. Hey, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But that big shift of accents and just kind of way of life, because I imagine Philadelphia is a lot more busier of a lifestyle than like compared to France. So I don't know. So
Yeah.
was art that kind of comfort for you in that then, would you say?
1,000%. I would absolutely say, because it's like, you're a kid, and I remember getting off the plane, and we had a little black cat with us. Her name was Paprika.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And she was so scared. I never seen it. She had like big eyes, and I just remember being told like, don't say anything, because we had to go through customs, and we had to go in this like special little office where they had to like make sure we didn't have any diseases, whatever. And I just remember like that feeling in the art museum of like, oh, this is human. Like, wow, like this is life. Like this, like I don't feel any fear of how I sound, or like who's like gonna try and like ask something from me. And it was just like, oh wow, like quackity quack quack, look at this like thin paper that's shiny, like amazing.
Yeah. So that's good. It was like a kind of a new chapter. Things became very pivotal in that moment. So I'm glad. So, because again, I can't imagine as a kid, no. Craziness. No. Craziness.
So, would you say that, tying into our next question, would you say that was your earliest art memory, or do you have another one that comes to mind? Or another, you could just give us any early art memory.
I want to say that was one of the earlier art memories for
I would
sure.
imagine at 5, yeah.
Yeah, because then after that, it was more like experiencing art in elementary school, but like,
Through a curriculum and stuff. Yeah, it's
Right.
different.
A more structured take.
yeah. It's interesting thinking about this right here, right now, and thinking like, oh my gosh, like, like experiencing art as a young child, and then experiencing art older through like teen and plus, and how maybe sometimes some moments feel similar, where it's like you're learning a new skill, a new technique, but then other moments where it's like I want to express this with art. Whereas like being a younger child, it was more like I want to make sure that what I make looks like, I don't know, a dragon.
That's a fascinating way to put it, but yeah, that's 100%. You're trying to capture the dragon, and now you're creating the dragon.
Ooh.
Right? Or you are the dragon.
Almost sounds like I know what I'm talking about.
Wow, Jake's the deep one today.
I say something semi-deep and I just start laughing.
No.
Quack, yeah.
Yeah,
Quack, yeah.
very profound, Jake. Thank you. So then what would you say that got you into art therapy was kind of that moment that made you go down that path? What do you say?
All right, are y'all ready for this?
I'm ready.
Let's
I'm
go.
ready.
Okay, cool. Buckle. No, it's not that intense, but
I'm ready.
We don't have any buckles.
Good.
They're just chairs.
deep dive straight from our chairs into the conversation.
Yes.
Art therapy. Yeah, I resisted art therapy for the longest time. When I was 18, graduated from high school, throughout most of my life until I moved to Chicago, I was a pretty big part in like helping take care of my brother and like almost sort of like be like a third caregiver at home. And so I was going to school part-time. I was working at 3 part-time jobs, and then like on the side of that, I sort of like found myself in this like wonderful community of like middle-aged and older women that lived around where I lived who all did art.
Okay.
Yeah, because the only time that I could paint when like at that time was like Thursday nights from 6 to 9. And of course, that's when all those ladies could paint too, because they also had to take care of their families. And I remember one night I was doing some like modeling, and for the listeners, not like glamorous modeling, but more like just like paint my face as I
Oh,
hold
portrait
it.
sitting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Alyssa came up to me and she was like, "Cam, you'd be a great art therapist," and I was like, "Quack that!" Like,
Say what?
yeah. At the time I was studying psychology, and when I turned 19, I had a pretty big like mental breakdown, and I was just like, you know what? I don't think I can be a clinician. I don't know if I can handle other, people's struggles while not being able to handle my own. So I kind of dove into painting, and then I made a decision of, well, I can't really be my own person while I'm still living with my family. So I said, all right, I'm going to go to Chicago and study painting there. And while I was studying painting in Chicago, I had a friend over from Pennsylvania. We were hanging out by the lake. I saw this tree. I thought, wow, this is a great tree. I'm going to go climb it. I start climbing the tree. It's great. Like being in the tree, great. But then, of course, what comes up must go down. So I have hypermobility syndrome, which like no one, including myself, I didn't know about until a few months ago, but it all makes sense now. Because when I got down from the tree, this might be a little graphic, but
Go for it.
okay, cool.
Yes.
My leg went in 2 different directions.
Ooh.
And I ended up like totally obliterating my ACL, some of that cartilage, and then I dislocated bones in my foot. But the worst part was that nobody knew this happened until 6 weeks later.
What?
Yeah.
You walked away thinking, oops.
Well, so the weird part was that every time I put weight on my leg, my knee would pop out. Which I'm like, this isn't normal.
No.
But I went to Northwestern and they were like, it's a sprain, which, like no beef to Northwestern, but like wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
What the heck was
Nope.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. I got a call from them like a few weeks after I saw them, and they were like, hi, we're just not going to bill you. And I'm like, anyways, so, so I had like a 2-year recovery of surgeries because I had to put the bones in my foot back together, but they didn't want to be put back together because my ligaments suck because I have hypermobility
There
syndrome.
it is.
Right. Yeah. But like no one knew at the time.
Right.
So it took me having to move back with my family, which at the time they moved to New York, not the city, but like right on the other side of the New Jersey border. So it's like a glorified, not so glorified New Jersey at that point. And there I've spent like months trying to find a surgeon who would like accept my case and like anyway, not to
Nope.
turn this
It's
into
part of the story of becoming an art therapist. Totally get that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first like foot fusion, because I had to get 2 foot fusions done. I know, blah. But the first one was like the toughest because it's the first time I had metal put in my bones, and I was like, sorry, what the quack.
No, period. But
Maybe for that one we'll allow it.
that is a
We'll
moment.
allow for any of them.
Yes.
And yeah, so I had like the surgery done in May, like the 2nd of May, and I was bedridden for I think like I know for sure the whole summer. And I realized that I really, really love people.
Aw.
And yeah, yeah. And not only that, but that like relationships with other people, regardless of what kind of relationships they are so integral. And it also like forced me to like sit with myself during all that time and just kind of be like, okay, like almost like get used to feeling emotions. And then I was also totally disillusioned with like the art scene in Chicago specifically, because like
It's intimidating there. I'm not gonna lie.
it really is. And it's like pretty like inaccessible, and I just like would go to school with crutches, and like it was just a bad experience. So I was like, you know what, like quack that.
Yeah.
I want to do something more real. And not saying that like working in art isn't real. It totally is. It was just for me at the time in Chicago, in that space, I was like, I don't see a future for me in this here. Neither in New York too, for that. Just wanted to say, because
Yeah, those are two hard fields to play.
Yeah.
yeah.
That in California, it's all those big cities. People are just like, oh, I'm gonna go out to the big city and become famous. There's a lot of fish in those ponds, so
There
Yeah,
are. And unless you have like the means and the connection, and you're like, I don't know, conventionally attractive in the widest way.
yes, we'll say it. We'll say it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's hard, but so then you ended over here.
Yes, yeah. So So then art therapy dove in. Yeah, it was I was gonna be like, it was good, but it was very how do you say, very I don't want to say informative, but I do want to say I learned a lot. I'm still learning a lot. What brought me to Kenosha is my relationship with Timbo from Kino.
Yeah.
Oh, past guest, Tim Baltus.
Yes.
Shout out to Tim.
Yeah, little droppity drop. Bow, bow, bow. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but yeah, so when I was in Chicago, I met Tim, and then it was like pretty soon afterwards, we were still like in the pandemic without a vaccine, and Tim and his family and his mom have been like so generous, and I've been living up here with them since. But I really love Kenosha. It's such a wonderful change of pace compared to Chicago, and it reminds me a bit of like not living in Philadelphia, but like around it.
Around Philly.
Yeah.
Like we could have a Wawa over there or
Oh
something.
my God, I wish, but we have Luperines, so you know what?
We
I'll
have
take it.
Luperini's, Yeah, we just got to get some subs going on over there.
Yeah.
Nothing like a Wawa sub. Way better than Sheets. But anyways, we'll do a Philly cast next time.
Philly cast. Well, nice. So you're really drawn to more of the emotional aspects with art. I can see that through you talking about what got you into art and that wonderful journey into art therapy. So love that, because that's what I do. I paint emotionally. I try not to push myself to create unless I'm kind of creating out of my emotions. So totally love that.
Fuck yeah.
So yes.
All right. So getting back into the questions.
Yes.
I'm the question leader today.
Oh yeah. I got poo brain. I'm gonna be taking topics.
Terminal case of poo brain.
Oh yeah. Topics left and right over here.
Nothing wrong with that.
So
Cam, who were some of your influences on your art and your art therapy, all of the above?
Woohoo! So, wow. I'm like, ooh, where do we begin?
Wherever you like.
yes.
First, I'll just share names of like artists.
Yeah,
You're all good. You're all good.
Accidentally hit the microphone.
Okay.
happens.
Sometimes I get a little animated, and then it doesn't help that I have a brace because then I'm like normally,
Flicky.
yeah, right, exactly. And then it's like, anyway.
Yeah.
Do y'all know the artist Nancy Spiro?
No,
I do not. No.
Oh, do y'all know Leon Golub?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
I feel like a bad art person.
I was gonna say I'm decidedly the non-artist in the group here, so I can maybe be forgiven for maybe not
No,
knowing.
you bear all sin.
Oh, I do too. I mean, we are like 19 episodes in, so I should probably know by now.
Yeah, where's your honorary art history degree?
I left it at home.
next episode we'll get you one.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but tell us about these
Yeah, wonderful
influences.
people.
Yeah. Okay. So fun fact: they were both married,
Okay.
and they like studied art in Chicago, but Nancy Spiro's from Ohio,
Okay.
and Leon Golub is from Pennsylvania, which I didn't know about until I knew about their work, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Blah. But yeah, so basically, both of their art is politically driven, and Nancy Spiro's work involves more like words, some like figurative imagery, but Leon Golub's work is like on tarps the size of a wall. And what drew me to his process is how I did my process with painting, which is building a paint. And then he literally took a butcher knife and like cut the paint off.
That is
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, so you have this like really like weird fleshy looking like figures, but these figures in the beginning. His work was about like Greek archetypes, but then they turned their work into kind of like post World War II. So like he did a lot of work surrounding the CIA, influencing other countries like politics, and he did scenes of like tortures, which it's like pretty brutal quack.
Yeah.
But there was like just something in not only the message, because it's also very emotional, but also just like the way that it looks like, oh, like something as big as the wall.
Oh,
with,
man.
like,
Yeah.
woo!
That could be overwhelming.
Yeah. So those are the first two artists I wanted to throw in there. But the other artists or people that influence me in my work is like Frida Kahlo,
Oh,
for sure. Like the goddess herself.
yes.
Name has come up quite a bit throughout this podcast.
She's just such an important person. So,
She really is. And it's like incredible to think like, wow, here was this queer, disabled, like woman of color just painting,
yeah,
right?
painting herself. and-
Yeah.
So-
Right. And then like now I would say is even like more recognized than Diego Rivera.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Oh,
is
yeah.
I
just
would say
like
so, yeah.
right? Which I'm just like, dang.
I 100% agree with that statement. So yeah, his name really, I feel like it only gets brought up when the conversation of Frida's on the table. So
As a non-artist, I learned about him as Frida Kahlo's husband.
yeah,
Yeah.
love that power dynamic.
Yeah.
More of that, please.
Please. Yes.
So,
Yeah. But anyway, those are just the artist names that anyone can Google if they'd like. But I would say the people that are directly in my life are my biggest influencers, to
Oh,
be
yeah.
honest. Yeah. Like friendships, relationship, like my partnership, like just any and everything, even like talking to someone I've never known, like somewhere I've never been. And it's just like I think it kind of comes back to this it's almost like a practice of living, and like art is just like another form of that, if that makes sense.
yeah. It makes sense. You create emotionally, so tapping into those things really inspire you. So, to me, 100% makes sense.
As you said in the email that you sent over to us, living in and of itself is art. And I love that phrase that you shared with us. So I think that sums it up, right?
Quack, yeah.
I forgot that part. Living in and of itself is art. Quack, yeah.
That is the,
Postscript.
the unfinished quote there.
Yes. Yeah, especially when not to keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.
It's funny because I'm really not like used to talking about myself, especially in therapy. So I'm just like, am I saying enough? Like, is this self-disclosure okay?
Oh, me too. That's why I host the podcast where I interview people.
Yeah, whenever people say, or when I say like, oh, I'm an art therapist, do you want to try doing some art? And then folks will say like, oh, I don't do art, or like I used to do art, but I don't do art anymore. And I'm just like,
What do you mean by that? Yeah.
right. I'm like, my friend, right? Like you are arting just by living,
Yeah.
right? Like we're just making stuff, just trying to figure out how to live. What is life?
Yeah. Totally get that. And that's why there's even like slice of life stuff, because it's the art and the simplicity of life, or the minute complexes of life. So
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, Shelby.
So yes. And that kind of ties into I'm just gonna do a little plug for the Creatives Club before we go on our little break.
Oh, yes.
But Creatives Club, it's the third Thursday of every month, and basically you just bring your projects that you're working on, come together, and work in a group. So
Love that.
yeah, it's kind of a little form of art therapy, just coming together as artists, talking about what's going on, and just creating together. So little and that's from 5 to 8 p.m. every third Thursday of the month.
Thursday nights, just like your Philadelphia ladies.
Yeah.
I almost said something earlier, but I didn't want to steal your thunder.
Oh no, it's perfect. We get there.
Thursday night, great night to create.
Yes.
So now that we've talked about that, we are going to take a quick little break.
And we're back.
We're back.
Thanks for coming back, everybody. Even though it was just a couple of seconds probably for you.
I don't know. We might have.
There might be an ad.
Who knows?
Ooh, because you would have just listened to it.
It's
Yeah.
true.
But
You'll
we'll
have
leave
to
it.
keep us posted.
I don't know Jack Diddley squat, so
Speaking of not knowing Jack Diddley squat, we're entering the Educate Jake section of the show, recently renamed from Jake is an Idiot.
I like the new name better.
I know.
Me too.
The old one holds a place in my heart. But Educate Jake. So my dumb question is, what is art therapy? We've been talking about it a lot. What is that?
Yeah, amazing question. Also, never dumb questions, only silly questions. And that question is not dumb or silly.
It was amazing. You said it, not me.
Art therapy, yes. So, some people will have different philosophies of what art therapy is, but for me, art therapy is kind of like a way to process your feelings, process whatever transitions whatever is happening in an art, like in an art sort of based process way. Sorry, I trip over my words.
It's okay.
But yeah, some art therapists will kind of like say, okay, draw me a picture and then analyze it. But I see art as process, or like rather, the therapy of the art as process of the making. So, so like my background is kind of like a lot. Josh, I'm tripping over my words.
It's okay.
Do you want to take a break and we'll reset?
Or just a pause.
Whatever works if it is easy. I mean, it's okay. Honestly, we're good.
Okay.
Sometimes I trip over my words for whatever reason. When it comes to describing what I do, it's like, oh, wow. Sometimes I have an elevator speech ready. For whatever reason, I was not prepared tonight,
okay.
but that's okay.
It's okay.
It's all good.
Yeah, poo bodies. Here we go.
Bodies.
I'd be fine leaving this all in if you guys want.
Poo
to.
brains.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Anyways.
Fuck yeah.
Honest and open.
Yes. Yeah, I tell anyone I work with in a therapeutic session, therapeutic space, that my intention is to be as transparent as possible. So, you know, a lot of times, like, people will come in a therapeutic space and will have like a lot of really bad experiences of someone being in a power, like, position of being a therapist, but then like saying messed up things or like breaking someone's trust. So I just wanted to throw that in there, that listen, if someone is trying to get some therapy and you're trying to find a good therapist, know that, like, you know, you can absolutely ask the therapist for what their stance is with, like, you know, honesty, and like, you know, just ask them questions. But coming back to art therapy, yeah, it's just kind of like, you know, psychotherapy with art. Not all therapy is helpful for everyone. So like talk therapy sometimes isn't really helpful, especially when we talk about trauma, that they're just like, words don't exist for that. And so then art can be like a beautiful conduit for expressing or even just processing that. So kind of like Shelby, like we talk a little bit about like creating from an emotional space, and art therapy can be that. And the difference that I see between art therapy and like art as therapy is that in an art therapy context, it's more like you're processing whatever you're processing using art, but it's like with a trained therapist, versus like art as therapy, you kind of can like build whatever you want, like community.
Yeah, so basically the therapist is there as kind of the shaman to guide you through it, is kind of how I see the perspective of art therapy, because actually at one point wanted to be an art therapist, but I was just like, I can't emotionally handle that. So as the struggle you talked about.
Hello.
Yes. But yeah, realizing like I just couldn't handle it. But just kind of how I viewed it is basically they help guide you and break down certain things as you're creating. So, because like Jake says all the time, art is like a universal language. So, yeah.
I repeat myself too much.
No, you're fine.
Never.
You have catchphrases, sir.
I have so many. Too many.
And
No.
some things are worth being brought up
Yeah.
again and again and
True.
again.
True.
Yeah.
that. So like they're getting real simple here. They're drawing or painting or creating in some way, and you're there with them as they're doing it, or are they like showing you later?
So, yeah, it depends. I can kind of like give some examples. I actually like
Sure.
have most experience working in psych hospitals. So I have a lot of experience kind of like working in a group setting.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so but now I'm working in a space where it's individual. So it's like, kind of different. And I think like in a behavioral hospital, and like so many freedoms are taken away. So like if someone made something not in my group, but then wanted to show me, like, yes, please, right? Like, we'll hold space, we'll talk about it, like whatever you need. And like if it's in a group setting, I like to do a lot of collaborative stuff.
Mm.
So a directive that I love to use is like, imagine that we're out in the middle of the ocean. Like, what are we gonna have with us to get through, the sea? And also like, what do you need to get through hard times? Like, are we gonna bring anyone with us? Are we gonna have any pets? Like, are we gonna be on a yacht? Are we gonna be on a sailboat? And then I'll have like a huge piece of paper and just like put it on the wall and then invite like everyone to add something. And the best part is when we have stickers.
Mm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a sticker.
Yeah.
Yes. But it kind of like, breaks a little bit, especially like in a hospital setting, like it breaks a little bit the impact of being in a space like that. And then I'm really big on like imagining things, and just like, I think if we imagine what we want, even if that doesn't happen, simply the fact that we're reflecting on what it is that we want, like so many of us have never been allowed to really think like, well, what do I want? Especially like as kids, if our families are struggling and, like you just have to make do with what you have with like, which honestly, like amazing, right? You become resourceful, you like, honestly, like maybe not amazing because then you have to like process that, when you're
Yeah.
out of it. But like,
No, I get what you're saying though. It's like it helps you in the long run, maybe.
yeah, yeah.
It still can be hard to go through. So.
1,000%. Yeah. And then when we get to a space where we're allowed to take up space and we can think like, okay, like I want a dog. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Just say it. Yeah.
yeah.
Because usually if you say like, oh, I want XYZ, it's just like, oh, you're being greedy over there or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a outside perception of I want, and even what you say, my goals are, it's a softer way to kind of go into that want territory, but you shouldn't have to soften your words because it's what you want. So go get it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, let's go get it.
exactly. Yeah.
Let's work towards something. So
Yeah.
love that. So
Quack, yeah.
yes. So that's the group setting. How does that kind of change with individuals then? Are you still kind of having them imagine and work on stuff like that, or more targeted one-on-one stuff? Because it's not a group, so yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of where it also gets interesting, is that when it's one-on-one, I'm really able to like focus on, where are you at? Like, what do you need? With, you know, with the pandemic, I feel like we are almost like chronically living in states of stress. And it's like art can be really helpful. Like there's research with like how even if you're doodling or like repetitive drawing can like help like bring down levels of stress. But in an individual session, normally what I'll do is that like if someone really wants to talk, if they had a tough week, they're really anxious about something, they're worried about what's going to happen after our session, I'll be like, on my little coffee table, I have paper in the middle, I have markers and a little bit of watercolor, and I say, okay, like let's talk and create. And so it kind of like it's interesting because there's so much more freedom as to what someone can make, and it's like just really cool to see someone create something, and sometimes they'll be like, oh, I don't really know, like I was just making while we were talking, and it's like, yeah, quack, yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Or someone else will be like, yeah, this is a character out of a story that I'm like that I like to draw about, and I'm just like, oh, like let's turn this into our sessions, right? Like let's like talk more about like what these characters go through, instead of having to like relive whatever traumas because you have to talk about it. So
I love that.
hell yeah.
Yeah, talking it through a character, it makes it easier. So love
Right.
that.
Yeah. Quack,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. So kind of taking this in a different direction. If time and money were no object, what would be your dream project?
It's funny because I was thinking about this earlier, and I have like this dream project that has always, lived a part in my mind, which is kind of like a community center, but that also has animals.
Ooh.
Yes.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
That's fun. I could see that going over very well.
Yeah. But definitely something involving bringing people together, and allowing a space for creating or just like connecting.
Coming together.
Yeah.
Pet a dog, paint something.
That's it. Yeah. Give a horse a carrot, or more like a donkey a
Yeah.
carrot. I love donkeys. I send him pictures of donkeys, and then he'll send me pictures of donkeys, and I'm just like,
Oh man, to be a fly on the wall of that chat.
I love donkey. My mom, that's like probably one of her favorite animals, that and pygmy goats. So,
no way.
Yeah,
Oh, they're so cute too.
yes.
Pygmy goats.
Pygmy goats.
Are donkeys mules? Are they different?
Mules are different.
Mules are different,
Yes.
but we don't know how.
We do know
We
how.
do. Someone here
Science
knows.
told us how.
Yeah.
I just meant I don't know how. I know. I'm sure someone knows. Does anybody here in my presence know?
Google.
Okay.
Google.
You folks at home, look that up.
Yeah, basically, it's a cross between a donkey and a horse.
That's kind of what I thought, but I didn't want to be the one to say it, and everybody would be like, "No, that's crazy. What are you talking
Oh,
about?"
listen, I mean, you can please say what you think.
Speak my truth. Donkeys and horses equal mules.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Yes. Come again Thursdays from 5 to 8.
Yes. Always Thursdays.
So yeah, having a community center or kind of like a wellness center was kind of the idea. So I think that's really cool. I think you should definitely aim for something like that because I feel like we don't, especially in Kenosha, we don't have something like that.
Yeah, no, I know we have like therapy animals. Our own Lynn Johnson here in the gallery has her French bulldogs that she will take like to Parkside and
They're like little
Carthage and
donkeys.
stuff like that.
They are.
With crinkly faces.
I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Lynn, if you're listening, don't get mad at Shelby.
I love French bulldogs.
Yes.
Me too.
But yeah, they're like therapy animals, and I don't want to assume that the wellness center is wellness center. Is that what you called it?
Well,
yeah,
community
center.
wellness
That's
center.
it. Yeah, but a place to connect.
Oh, connecting center.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Come down to the CC.
All right. Well, we're in the fun section of the show now, and I know you probably can't share stuff from therapy sessions, but are there any funny stories or funny comments that you've heard, or maybe going back to the art days or that kind of stuff? Any funny stories you got?
So, so I do have a funny story from the hospital where Sometimes for my groups, I would play games because that's also a really nice way to connect with people. And also, like, sometimes we just don't have the energy to create art. And so it's like, kind of, we could stretch it and say that this is another form of art. But, but anyway, I was playing trivia. And I asked, well, what two animals, or actually, no, not what two
I was about to say, what
animals.
two animals make a mule?
Donkey and horse. Donkey and horse. I know this.
Oh gosh.
No, I think it was, oh my gosh, what, I think the question was, what do you call, the cross between a female lion and a male tiger, which, like, the answer is liger.
Okay, yeah.
But this person shouted, "A slut!" Sorry, I should have said it's not really PG.
That's good.
It was amazing. It was just like so wonderful. I couldn't stop laughing. Oh my goodness. Oh,
Love that.
yeah.
I don't have any. I can't react to that. I don't know how to react to that. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's like,
I was gonna say, does the avoidance of slut shaming carry over to the animal kingdom? I don't know. Maybe it should.
it should. No, not allowed.
No.
I mean, mules got to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yes. Oh goodness. The mental imagery of that going on.
Yes.
I love that.
It was just so good because everyone was quiet. Everyone was thinking really hard. Like, what is the cross
Yeah.
between a female lion and a male tiger? And in my head, I'm going, come on, y'all, right? Like a liger.
Yeah.
Like,
You've heard this before.
Yeah.
We all thought
Right.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, oh gosh.
good.
man,
Good
yeah.
one. Good one.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Well, thank you for sharing.
yeah.
Oh my god. Love that. So, moving on to the next question. I don't know how we're going to follow up with that, but
The show must go on.
yeah, show must go on.
Yes.
So, what are your thoughts about the local art community, and do you have any ideas that you want to present, or anything that you want to see happening in the community? Anything you want to improve on? Yeah.
We know you're relatively new here,
Yes.
just a couple years, but that's an interesting perspective as well. So we want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I'm definitely a babe when it comes to, being part of the scene. I think this is like really little first time. Just kind of like trying to say hello.
Hi, I'm here.
Welcome.
Yes, exactly.
Hi, hello.
Yes. Yeah, so I sort of have like, a general, I don't want to say expectation, but I do want to say, kind of like my own values with like, the art community, and that accessibility is a big part, and something that I see here in Kenosha, and even like, the area, like even with like Racine and the Racine Art Museum, is that like it is pretty accessible here. I don't know, like too much about the culture or sort of like, how folks get along. But I see that like RAM, like the Racine Art Museum, has like so much like kind of workshops and like trying to engage with the community, which is so important. And even like Shelby, oh my God, like
Me.
You,
and
her.
yes, Yeah, and everything that you're doing too, like the
Oh,
podcast and the Thursday night, like
oh,
creating, yes.
oh.
And even just like, having your gallery space here. It's all really important things and just like
Mhm.
says a lot about the space. So anyway,
No,
yeah.
just accessibility. Yes.
Yeah, that needs to be a priority, I think, with everybody across the board.
Yes.
Is
If you need a ramp, make a ramp. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Talk with the city. See if you can get a ramp. Because I know that's a major issue is physical accessibility to those things. It's uh, it's a battle, and because like with the city and getting permits and whatnot, and I always know that's a difficulty, but it's those efforts that really make an impact. So make your places as accessible as
yeah,
possible.
and reaching out to communities that are underserved or
Yeah.
underrepresented, maybe would be a better way to say it,
Yes.
and just being welcoming.
Yes, 1,000%. And like accessibility, like physically, but also like financially, right? Like art is
Yeah.
Oh,
not very like if real talk, if we're talking about material, like art materials, it's really not accessible. Like,
mhm.
I don't know any place where it is really accessible, but if you can find a way to like make art without like having to sacrifice bills to pay or anything. Um, yeah, so just kind of thinking about like all these different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of accessibility and visibility, is there anything that you wanted to say about being a trans artist? Because I know that is part of our platform, something that we want to highlight and give perspective to that because not everyone has the same perspective as you. So,
Yeah.
is there anything specifically you want to talk about in that?
Yeah,
Mm,
sure.
yeah.
Good question.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's uh, mm. Sorry.
I'm sorry I sprung that
No,
on you.
no,
I feel
no, no, that's so
yeah.
important. No, and I'm happy to talk about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like right now in this moment, I'm thinking about, like the like process and like practice of being trans,
Mhm.
of like playing with gender, experiencing gender, but then also tying it to like nationality, like
Mhm.
kind of it's almost like as a trans artist, what is so interesting um is finding the spaces in which I'm almost like allowed to be visible,
Mhm.
allowed to be who I am as I am. And that is so rare to find. It's so hard, which
Yeah.
seems really silly, but like, or not silly, but it's just like, damn, right? Like we're
Yeah.
Yeah.
talking about art and
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
like there's so many different creatives and just like ways to create, um but I just remember like in Chicago like having to really like try and research and find spaces where I could be myself, but then also like trying to avoid like predatory spaces
Oh yeah.
and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then like when I kind of like moved back with my family in New York, just like being so aware of that and just like New York is rough. To anyone in New York, trying to make it work, good luck.
Yeah.
I believe in you, but
Mhm.
also like do what's good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not saying that it's not good for you,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it wasn't good for me. So yeah. But it is really interesting. And I feel like the art world is like a little microcosm of the
Yeah.
world that we live in.
Mhm.
And so being a trans artist doesn't feel too different than being a trans therapist, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, I could see that because again, those emotions hand in hand, working and processing hand in hand. So I totally see that. So, and I think places should be more transparent about like you might think, "Oh, I have a pride flag outside. Like, is that really going to make a difference?" It does make a difference.
Yes.
And we're working on getting one at the front of our building right now. We're working with our landlord to get that installed and everything, but it's so important. It's so small, but it's so important because that's like an unspoken thing basically saying you're safe here.
Yeah.
And we do need those safe spaces for people to feel comfortable, to share their emotions, to come and create. So I would love if more businesses were transparent their support. So
Me too.
we're working on that
Yeah.
because it's very important.
Baby steps.
Quack,
but
yeah.
We
Hopefully
gotta,
moving in the right direction.
yeah, I got to talk with our landlord about drilling into the side of the
Oh.
building before we
I don't even know how to do that.
just do
Oh,
that.
no,
So.
or even just like or even just I don't know, like a
Yeah.
sticker out. But
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, just like, having me here,
Aw.
just like that says a lot,
Aw, oh, good.
Yeah.
We love another main part of the platform is get POCs represented if we can, LGBTQ plus people involved because again, there's not defined spaces for them, so we want to give them a space.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
whether that be virtually in the air, but yeah,
I want to
and
talk to the community, and that includes everybody.
yes.
Ooh, I
Mhm.
love that.
So trying to be inclusive as possible, and thank you for helping us do that
Oh
and
my
being on
gosh.
here.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you for
appreciate you
having me
coming.
here. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I'm honored.
Do you have anything that you want to plug? Do you want people to find you and see what's going on in your life?
Yeah. If anyone has any questions, about like art therapy, whatever, or like transness, or like I don't know, life.
All the cool questions.
Yeah, all the big
Easy
questions.
stuff. Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram. My art handle is Cam Beltran Art. So that is CAMBELTRANART. Yeah. And my private handle is Lil Trash Biscuit.
I
I
love
love
that.
that handle. I was hoping you'd say that.
Love that.
Yes. Yes. So you can find me there too.
Yay.
Awesome.
Ask you all the important questions. So love.
Meaning of life. Yeah.
Yeah, no big
What happens when you
deal.
die? Yeah. All that
Yeah.
simple stuff.
Oh, I don't know if I can answer that one, but I can tell you what I think.
What is a mule?
Yes.
Got that one covered.
Yeah, or a liger.
Yes, or a
Yeah.
What happens if a mule gets with a liger?
Oh gosh.
Ooh.
That's
Oh.
real slut territory.
Yeah, that's slut squared right there.
Gotta say. So
I was gonna say like Muger or something
Oh,
like
no.
that.
A lul.
Lul. That's it. Lul.
yep, like that. Awesome.
Somebody out there draw a lul
Oh
and
my
send it in.
God. Yes, please.
First fan art,
Yes.
please.
Oh my God.
You're gonna tape it up right here where we record.
Yes.
We'll get it framed and everything.
Yeah.
So. Alrighty, guys. And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, our very own gosh darn YouTube channel. So leave us a like, a review, subscribe, do all those things that you know how to do. And you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at the ArtSpace Podcast. And check us out there. We always got stuff going on. You could see pictures about what we're talking about in episodes
Yes.
and whatnot. So stay connected there. And another quick shout out to the Creatives Club. Trying to get that going because that just started in August. So every third Thursday of the month at Lemon Street Gallery from 5 to 8 p.m. Just bring your art and work with us. So we've got two different environments. We've got a chill room in the brick room. We've got pillows and blankets so you can work on your lyrics or your poetry. Or we can head over to the classroom. We've got some upbeat music and some art supplies. So,
September 15th. See you there.
ooh, yes. So full of creativity, and we would love to see you there. But I think that wraps it up for this episode.
Quack,
does.
yeah.
Quack,
And
yeah.
we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye. Quack.
Bye.
Quack, quack, quack.